Welcome back to the channel, where today we are going to be discussing skinwalkers. This comes from a Reddit user. My parents, my sister and I were driving home late at night from a cabin in the woods. We had been renting the cabin for years and had no issues. It was a beautiful area with plenty of trees, but it wasn't really in the middle of nowhere. There were other cabins around us and they were always rented out, so we never felt like we were alone. On this particular trip, we left the cabin around 10 p.m. We were blasting music, singing along and having a great time. Then suddenly, without warning, the road turned into a dirt road. Both of our headlights immediately went out, and when we looked out the window, we could see what appeared to be some sort of glowing eyes in the trees that lined both sides of the road. I remember leaning over and whispering to my mom, "Are those eyes?" She responded by saying, "No, don't be silly." But I could still see the glowing eyes, and there were more than just two. They were everywhere, and they were getting closer. When we turned the car around to go back, the road had magically transformed into the paved road that we remembered. The whole drive back, we were screaming bloody murder and praying to God that we made it home okay. That was the worst part of the story. I'm sorry, did I miss something? What do you mean the road turned into a dirt road and then back into a paved road? The road didn't change. You changed. This creature can change its shape. When skinwalkers attack people, they will use a variety of weapons, depending on their intent. Sometimes they use witchcraft, sometimes they use physical attacks, and sometimes they even possess their victims. Skinwalkers prey on those who enter their territory, and they will stop at nothing to protect their land. This is why it is important to be aware of the signs of a skinwalker attack, so that you can protect yourself from these dangerous creatures. The most common sign of a skinwalker attack is a feeling of dread or fear. If you get the feeling that you're being watched or followed, even when you're alone, then it's possible that a skinwalker is stalking you. Skinwalkers are known to target people who are vulnerable, so if you're feeling low or stressed, then you may be more susceptible to an attack. Another sign of a skinwalker attack is strange lights or sounds in your home or workplace. Skinwalkers are nocturnal creatures who often hunt at night, so if you start hearing strange noises or seeing strange lights when you're alone, then it could be a skinwalker trying to scare you off. Perhaps one of the most terrifying signs of a skinwalker attack is the appearance of animal bones or other disturbing objects in your home. Skinwalkers are known to leave behind these sorts of tokens in order to taunt their victims. So if you start finding animal bones or other disturbing objects in your home, then it's possible that a skinwalker is stalking you. If you think you're being followed, then it's important to take action quickly. Skinwalkers are patient hunters, and they won't hesitate to strike when you least expect it. Try to stay calm and move to a safe location. If you feel like you're being watched, try to distract the skinwalker by making noise or turning on lights. If you find animal bones or other disturbing objects in your home, then it's important to get rid of them as soon as possible. Skinwalkers often use these objects to gain power, so by getting rid of them, you'll be taking away the skinwalker's power. But these are just some of the many signs that a skinwalker may be targeting you. If you have any experiences with skinwalkers, then please let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, make sure to stay safe and be aware of your surroundings at all times. Now let's get back to our story. The next morning after, of course, not sleeping at all, my dad decided to check out the tire tracks from the car to see if we actually did drive onto a different road the night before. He also wanted to check the cabin to see if anything was missing, or if anything looked out of place. He couldn't find anything. He checked the tire tracks, and they ended abruptly at the dirt road, which was now back to being paved, proving that we did not turn onto a dirt road the evening before. My parents have always tried to keep things like this from me. Like when I was younger and I used to have bad dreams and nightmares, my mom would always say, "Don't listen to the monsters in your dreams. They're not real." So I never told her or my dad about the things that happened to me in my dreams, and she never pushed me to remember or describe them either. I think they just assumed that I grew out of it, but I didn't. I'm 24 and I still have nightmares to this day. I never thought that any of these skinwalker stories were real until I experienced it myself. And I believe that's why my parents never told me these stories, because they probably believed that they were untrue either, just like I did. That is, until we found a small bag while cleaning out the cabin. Inside the bag was an old journal. My dad hesitantly opened it and started reading. The entries were my grandparents from when they first purchased the cabin. After they had been writing about how beautiful the area was and how much they loved the cabin, the tone shifted. They wrote about finding animal bones, strange drawings and symbols carved into tree trunks, whispers in the forest, and even footprints that were never supposed to be there. One entry particularly stood out. It said, "We heard scratching at the door last night, like someone or something was trying to get inside. We stayed up all night listening to the commotion, but the sun rose and nothing came in. We're too scared to sleep here tonight, so we're staying at a hotel." They also mentioned something about a Navajo curse. Apparently Navajo curses can remain on a piece of land forever, causing anyone who lives there to experience supernatural phenomena. At that point, my dad closed the book and threw it back in the bag. He said, "Pack your stuff, we're leaving." But then we started talking about how maybe it was all in our heads, how maybe we did unsee what we thought we saw, and that we should just forget about it and enjoy the rest of our trip. That's when we decided to stay another night. It was probably around 3 a.m. when I was awoken in the middle of the night by what sounded like screams in the forest. Big guttural screams. I was too scared to get up and look out the window. I just peeked over the edge of the bed to see if my sister was awake, but she was fast asleep. I remember thinking, good for her, she doesn't know what's out there. I kept laying in bed trying to fall back asleep, but the screams kept getting louder. I remember squeezing my eyes shut and thinking, please let this be a dream, please let this be a dream. Then I heard footsteps near the cabin, heavy footsteps. I got up and slowly walked to the window and peeked outside. I saw a big dark shape standing outside the cabin with what appeared to be a long tail dragging behind it. I screamed and ran back to bed, burying my head under the covers. I was shaking with fear, hoping that whatever was outside the window would go away. But then I heard glass shattering and my blood ran cold. Whatever was outside had entered the cabin. I don't know how long I stayed under the covers, but eventually I heard my mom and dad come into my sister and my room. They were obviously worried and scared, but relieved to see that we were okay. Whoever or whatever was out there broke the window in our living room and took off. I'm not sure if it was a wild animal, but I do know that my parents never allowed me to forget that night again. They made sure I knew that what I saw that night was real. The window was never replaced, and the cabin was sold not long after. Wow. That's one creepy story. That poor guy must have been so scared. If you like scary stories, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. I only publish scary stories. Also, if you want to submit your own scary story, I will be posting guidelines in the community tab of my server, so make sure to check those out. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to our Discord boosters. Thank you all so much for boosting the server. It means a lot. And if you want to see your name at the end of every video like this amazing person, then you too can boost the server. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.